Welcome, folks. Welcome, one and all, to our wonderful live. And let's go ahead and post our usual comment that we post in the beginning, which, of course, is welcome, folks. My brother gets a kick out of the fact that I say folks, but that's just the way to greet people. You guys are folks. Hey, folks. How's it going? So today, I'm going to continue doing the walls. I'm going to start with the one that comes across this way. This goes all the way out, it goes quite a bit, so it'll be an all-day thing. Right now, I'm cutting all the vertical studs to 105 inches. 105 inches plus 2 on top, 1 on the bottom. That's an extra 4.5 inches. Plus 105 inches plus 4.5 is a 109.5. And then 109.5 and 3/4 inch is 110.25. And we're looking at about 110.5 for the height from the bottom of the truss to the floor, to the concrete. Which is not the finished floor, but anyway. So here we go. Trying to think, what else? Anything else? Nothing else. Cutting some wood. Grab my pencil. Welcome, one and all. Whoever wishes to, feel free to comment away. And I will, on my, one of my Facebooks, I can see the comments. Either my Javier Unzueta Facebook or my Javi Unboxed Facebook. I think it's the Javi Unboxed. The other one, I cannot see them live, so I'll answer them later. But if you go to YouTube, Javi Unboxed, then you'll be able to see you'll be able to comment and it'll come right up. And I'll be able to see the comments. So, like I said, 105 inches. And then, basically, where's my little, I know I brought it with me. Yeah, I hate carrying this thing around because it's too big. I've got a little tiny one. Ah, there it is. All right. Just to make my mark. For those of you that are wondering, I am making I'm building a wall. This is what I'm doing. So, that's one of the girls' rooms. Over there, there's a door. This is the other girls' room. The door's going to be on this wall. I've got a closet, which you can't see from your angle. You may or may not. I've got a door here for this closet, door there for the other closet, and got the bathroom. So I'll walk you through the whole thing eventually. I always like to extend these things a little further. I'm cutting from that side today, but I stick my scrap here. These scraps, by the way, are not garbage. They're eventually going to be cut to size and go in between here at the 4-foot level to help brace up the plywood, but also as a fire stop. That's important and code in many regions. This gets to be annoying, the wood. Gotta do what you gotta do. All right, now, I'm going to build basically I'm going to do 10 foot or 8 foot at a time, see how it goes. Because I did a 16 footer yesterday or the day before, and unfortunately it's heavy. So I could easily raise up 10-foot walls, but 16-footers are a bit tough. But now what I need is, for the first, for these things is, for an 8-foot wall, I need, for an 8-foot wall, I need 7 vertical pieces. For a 10-foot wall, I'm going to need 9, I believe, but regardless, I've got walls to go, so I might as well just keep cutting. In fact, I should cut them and stack them. Just keep stacking them. So. These are all my interior walls. For those of you that have seen, I already got my exterior almost completed. The doors come in on the 7th, so I'll be installing them on the 7th of July. So the doors is the only thing missing on the outside, and the soffit. I'll work on the soffit when I feel like being overheated, because it's hot out there. When it's a nice cool day, I'll work on the soffits for a while. But I got soffits, I've got all these walls to do, I've got electrical, plumbing, and HVAC to run. So it's quite a bit of work. Many of you know I don't like bending down or anything or having to climb ladders. As much as I've had to do on this job already, I try to minimize it. So I'll just set up my wall here and raise it up. A lot of carpenters do it on the ground. Well, a lot of carpenters are younger than I am. How's it going, Troy? Good to see you again. Haven't been on a line in a while. I've been so concentrated on doing the exterior. Just let me put this thing away somewhere where it's not in the way. There we go. Yeah. I've got a whole stack of wood here, all my lumber over here, so I'm just gonna keep whittling at it until it goes down. Thinking maybe I should bring the 8-footers because while I need these for the 105-inch heights, the 8-footers are great for the vertical, horizontal lens. Well, they're all in the shed at the moment. I have a whole bunch in there. That's part of the build. I just have to bring them out here. Five. I love this little tiny square. It's so lightweight. And that's exactly what I need. I don't need anything more than a 4-inch square for a 3.5-inch piece of 2x4. Boom, draw my line, put my stuff away. I got pockets in my jeans. There's no sense in having a big, bulky, belt. And I've got the belts. It's just don't need them for this. I might just go out and get the wood just to do the 8-foot sections. Easier that way. Put my studs back in the, rather my, yeah, studs. Meanwhile, the dog has already moved in with me, and she is, at the moment, flattening a huge mound of dirt outside. She's been at it for quite a while. So, she's been at it for quite a while. She's been at it for a number of days, now, a good week or so. She just goes out there, spends all day digging. I don't have time to train her not to dig, so she digs. Alrighty. Yeah, I would normally take, see if this was, if I knew all the boards were identical in size, but we're talking, despite the fact that it's pressure treated lumber and I ordered it all from the same batch, et cetera, they're always off by a little bit. And if it was all the same, if I knew it for sure, then I only measure from one end and cut the same thing off each end. But I need 105 inches exactly, and these things, sometimes they're exact, sometimes they're off by a quarter. Sometimes they're longer, sometimes they're shorter. Can't take a chance, you know? First batch cut. I think I'm going to go use the truck and pick up some wood. How's everybody doing out there? Hey, Dave, good to see you. So I'm going to go pick up over at the shed. I'll pick up, I got a bunch of 10-footers here. Got a bunch of 10-foot, just so you know what I'm doing. I had a whole bunch of extra 16-foot number 2, so it's construction grade, 16-foot 2x4s. Yellow pine, that's the non-treated variety. So I over-purchased from the rafters, but no big deal because I could use them for for the studs as well. The only thing I can't do is use them on the very bottom. The stuff that touches the concrete has to be pressure treated. Well, in addition, the first 2 feet, 2 to 3 feet, by code, has to be sprayed with borate to, hey, it only costs a little bit more to order pressure-treated lumber, so I figured, which is borate-treated lumber. But instead of spraying a green mess on the bottom and trying to get every nook and cranny on regular wood, I'll just build everything up to, not including the top, the headers, with pressure-treated lumber. So there's a mix of pressure-treated and regular lumber. The whole of the roof, the trusses, they're all number 2 grade, yellow pine. Forgot what it's called. It's either pine, fir, or birch, but it's pine, fir, PFB or PFB, whatever it is. It's construction grade, but the high grade, not a lot of knots, and structural, basically, but not pressure treated. That's what they normally make trusses from. So it makes sense that everything pressure treated is on the bottom, everything not pressure treated is on the top. Doesn't matter where I end up, because it's all number 2 wood, it's all common, it's all with code. And it's better if I use all pressure treated on the walls, despite the fact it's a little more cost and it's a little more work because it's heavier. I'm not going to have to worry about termites or anything like that in this stuff. And if a termite climbs up 10 feet to get up to the top, they can have the wood. But anyway, yeah. So I'm still missing another, a second 2x4 on top to tie them all together. And then, but I'm going to do that after I do these. So now the question, should I or shouldn't I? Well, I could use a 10-foot, yeah, let's, I'll do 10-foot walls instead of 8-foot walls. Either way, they're continuous. It's not a big deal. Now, the wall that I'm building now has to be, it's quite long. It's, let's see, we got 10 foot 10, 9 foot 0, 3 foot 10, 5 foot 11. 1, 6, 7, 11, 20, 31, about 31, 32 feet, which it goes all the way up. I got to move the table. It goes all the way through here. Make sure it's where it goes. Yeah. Yep, this one goes all the way through there. So, luckily, I don't have to, let me see, the first 10 feet are fine. I can build a 10-foot wall solid, and I don't have to worry about, because when I have doorways to consider, I got to consider where I'm going to put the studs, and then I got to put the cripples, the trims, the risers, the king studs, the trim or jack studs, and the cripples. So, in case you're wondering which is which, I don't know if you can see me over here. I guess you can. Well, let's just say it this way. If there was a door here, the 2 studs that are right next to the door up to the header are called the trim or jack studs. The 2 that go from floor to ceiling are the king studs. They go all the way, just like these are all king studs. And then you got the header, and then the the 2 or 3 or however many little studs that go between the header and the top cord is are the cripples. And at least until somebody gets politically correct and says we can't call them that anymore. I don't know where the name came from, but it's, that's always fun. Okay, here we go. Grab a couple of pieces of wood. One for the bottom, one for the top. My dog is having a blast. She is digging up. I dug out a stump that I've yet to burn. It's a big one, so I'm not gonna pull it out like all the other 28 that I did. I gotta burn that one out, but I haven't had a chance to get to it. Busy building, And then between that dirt and the excess dirt that I dug out of when I did the septic, I've got a mound of fill in the back. And my dog for the last 2 weeks has been, it used to be this high. It is now this high. She digs around it, she digs in it, she climbs on top, she's the king of the hill, queen of the hill, whatever. And it is the funniest thing you ever saw. I don't know where she is now. She's on the other side of the mountain now. The hill. I lose it, it's hilarious. Grab my nailer. All right. I'm gonna have to bring the box of nails out here. It's just getting tedious going back and forth. I bring out like 10 sticks of nails, and that'll be good for a day's worth of work. I mean, we're talking 300 nails, but it just gets, it's annoying. It's tiring. All right. First thing we do, for those of you that have never put walls up, is we've got to mark our studs. The first one is on the end, and the next one is, they're all 16 inches on center. So, the end we mark 1.5 and 3/4 inch. And then we mark 16 inches on center, but what I like to do, just to make it easier on myself, is I mark the 16 inches, and then I do the 3/4 inches on each side. 16, 32, 31 1/4, 32 3/4. 48, 64, 80. By the way, for those of you wonder, hey, this measuring tape has these red squares. Most of these measuring tapes have these red things. Oh, that's what they're for. And then the last one I marked right on the end. So, and this one is 10 foot and 3/4, this wood. So I just put it on the end, and then when I do the next one, I go 16 inches from not the end, but the 16s. So then when I go lay my drywall, 4 foot, boom, 4 foot, boom, 4 foot. It continues to be every 16 inches because the drywall has marks every 16 inches, and or every 12, depends on the drywall. And you want to be you want the studs to be in the right place. That's the reason for 16. Well, I could put them 24-inch, but then you're going to get one heck of a. First of all, I mean, this is my house. I'm going for quality here, and the last thing I need is a wall that starts curving or warping because the drive. I mean, if you're a construction builder, if you're a home builder that does a lot of homes, then it makes sense for you to use cheaper drywall. So you're going to use 1/2 inch instead of, like in my case, 5/8 fire code, mold resistant. I'm spending an extra $4 or $5 on each sheet to get the fire resistance in the code. This is my house. But they'll use plain drywall, and then they'll use 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch is, I mean, I don't want to say I can poke my finger through it, I can't. And 1/2 inch is fine for the ceiling, as long as you have 16 inch on center. If you do 24, then you're going to get some. But imagine, a home builder doing 24-inch walls with 1/2 inch drywall, and they can do it because it's not structurally a problem. But then you end up with, in a matter of a few years, an extremely dilapidated house. This is going to last me the rest of my life, however long that may be. I don't need it. Yeah. So now that I've drawn them on one side, obviously it makes sense to do it both at the same time, and I'll use the larger thing, but I'm not in a hurry. I'm relaxing. I'm not going to kill myself. So put the two boards together. And even them out. One is the top, one is the bottom. And you'll see why that's important in a second. On this one, I'm not bothering to mark the middles because all I need is the two outsides. And with all this wood here, it's not the most comfortable way of doing it either, but again, not in a hurry. That's the one thing I learned with when I mentioned this before. One of my first days in construction, my father, what he did was, my father was a contractor he's going on 60 years as a contractor. Still working too. And with my dad, he knew better than, well, first of all, by the time I was old enough to apprentice, I don't know if it was high school or college, it was high school. Hey, Dad, can I get some work for extra money? Yeah, sure, no problem. Go see Raphael. That was the answer. Go see Raphael. Number one, my dad had multiple job sites that he was doing. So he was at the job site, but he would go from one to another, from one to another. In the meantime, he's doing plans and estimating at home, well, wherever his office was. Sometimes it was home, sometimes a home office, sometimes a big office and sometimes as a GC, he worked for large companies like Odebrecht, who did miles and miles and miles of infrastructure, and he would be estimating for them, so he'd work in their offices. Well, regardless, he was rarely at a job site, or he was at the job sites maybe 3 or 4 times a week, but he wasn't there 8 hours a day. So he put me with his toughest platoon sergeant foreman, big, gruff Cuban guy with thick glasses that all he did was scream all day long. Or maybe that was just me, but and I spent the first 2 years picking up nails and sweeping floors until I admitted that I couldn't do anything. Hey, Jeff, good to see you. Let me see. So where do you use 1/4 and 3/8 drywall? Oh, I'll tell you that in a second. So then this guy, basically, this guy was so, I mean, he was like the sergeant platoon. I mean, he was, I forgot his name, the guy that plays him, that actually was in the Army. But anyway, like the drill sergeant. I mean, the first thing he taught me, one of the first things he taught me was, I went out there with so much zeal and fervor, and I go, yeah, I can do this, go carry the wood from here to these men and learn see what they're doing. So I'm here carrying wood, but rather than stop and see what they're doing, which I grasped what they were doing. It was, I don't want to call it simple work, but because you don't want to make mistakes, but, squaring things up, and it was framing. It wasn't like stairs or truss work or anything like that. It was framing, simple framing, because there's complex framing too. Well, I would go out, grab the wood, come back, and Raphael, for the first time, I mean, he was always yelling at me, but he said, slow down, what the hell are you doing? I go, I'm carrying wood like you told me to. No, you're going to tire yourself out, slow down. And then he had a point. 2 hours of me going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. I was dead to the world. I was useless. At my 3rd hour working, I was useless the rest of the day. I was so exhausted. And I learned my first lesson. You look at any construction worker, I mean, there are exceptions. There are when you do concrete work, when you do stucco, when you do roof work, these guys are brutes. They are incredible. They're nonstop. But even then, when the guys that do concrete work, they'll push a good 4 or 6 hour day, 6 hours, not an 8 hour day. They'll push a 4 hour day. They will lie down and recuperate in the middle of the day, while they'll pour the concrete, like the guys that did this floor, because I didn't pour the concrete. That's the only thing I didn't do. And then we're talking 65 yards of concrete in 2.5 hours. There were 11 guys. Pour, 7 trucks, boom. The guys behind them, screeding. Hey, they're young, that's great. When the concrete was screeded and they had to wait for it before they had to, give it the polish, before they had to plane it, the power planer, man, they sacked out and they were resting. They took every advantage. And that's the point. The point is, when you're doing hard labor in construction, it's not slave labor where we're breaking rocks, where you got to do that all day long. And I imagine, like anything else, everything you get used to. But this stuff take it easy. I'll do a 5-hour day, I'll do a 3-hour day, I'll do a 12-hour day some days. But it's for me, so I'm not getting paid for it, but take it easy, slow and steady wins the race, you know, the whole thing. In answer to your drywall question, 3/8 and 1/4 inch drywall, very rarely do they use 3/8. At least in Florida, you're not allowed by code to use 3/8 on anything other than like if you're covering something up. In other words, let's say I've got a wall that has paneling and I want to make it smooth. I'll throw some 3/8 or 1/4 inch drywall on it, boom, which I've done at my old house before I sold it. I had some old paneling there, I made it look nice and new with a few sheets of 1/4 inch and done. Really brought the price up. And, you know, what you should do properly is rip out the paneling, which is a lot of work and more expense and stuff, but I'm selling the house, so a nod's as good as a wink in line back, as they say. But that's one thing. Normally what I do here is now I I'll take and I nail the edges, the two ends. Yeah, this is a very uncomfortable position to work in, but here's what it is. Luckily, I got an extra sawhorse. There it is. Multiple sawhorses is fantastic for when you're working on this kind of stuff, because it just gets very, gets old real quick when you're, Now what I usually end up doing is something like this. I take the sawhorse, bring it out here, put the tube, it needs to be longer. I should have used the, that's gonna be a pain. I should have used the 16 footers for the sawhorse face, but let's see what happens here. one, I'll set up the whole, the verticals on the horse. I'll set up the verticals. This gets to be a bit of a now, what I do need, that I don't have here, is another template. Or do I? There it is. Great. We got the basic frames, and I can just throw all the stuff in there. However, I do have to make a couple of marks. So how's everybody doing out there? Any more questions? So I'll tell you a story about a guy I knew. His name was George, and my father and he went to school together when they were very young. Uh-oh, messed up. That doesn't go there. And I'll fix that in a second. See, folks, you gotta pay attention to what you're doing. And I didn't. So let's just realign that wood is in the wrong look orientation. I would have been off by 1.5 inches on two sides. what had happened was, I put the wood on this side of this wood, it actually goes, this one goes on this side of this wood. This is the bottom plate. And that's the top plate. This doesn't go on the side. Doesn't work that way. Now, it doesn't work that way. All right. So now comes the fun part of this. Now, can't do that yet. Gotta nail that side before it all falls apart over there. At least a couple of them. Another reason for doing things slowly, folks, is the last thing you want to do is either stick a nail through your hand or trip or fall. So always pay attention to what you're doing. And yeah. So, got one left. Let's cut that one. And then we'll bring our roll up. One of the things you should also do with these walls is have the crown face in the same direction. And what I mean by crown is if you look at the thing and it's bending up or it's bending down, whichever way it bends, make sure that they all bend the same way. Because if not, then you're going to have a wall that goes woo, nice and wiggly like that. And that's the last thing. That's the last thing you want. You know? Maybe it's the last thing we want, but I hope it's the last thing we want. 105. As I was saying earlier, 105, you add 4.5 inches, which is 3 pieces of 2x4, one on the bottom, 2 on the top. 4.5 inches to 105 is 109.5. Add 3/4 of an inch for the furring strips that go up on the top, the batten boards, they're called, battens, that go on the ceiling battens. Then you're looking at 109.25, and the ceiling varies between 109.5 and 110. It should be 110, but it's not. You know, and you don't want it, I mean, I would measure each one and butt it up against the ceilings, but that's a sure way to get a bunch of creaks in your house, and that's not the way it's done. For load-bearing walls, it's different. Load-bearing walls, all those sit on the load-bearing walls. That's different. These are non-load-bearing walls. And if you have everything on here, then the trusses are meant to carry a certain load, and they're meant to contract and expand, and the last thing you want to do, it's done that way, and it's not that big of a deal, but you're going to hear creaks and pops and stuff if you don't. This way, you've got a good 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch to 3/4 inch gap, usually 1/2 inch gap in between the walls and the things. Now, drywall will cover all that. There'll be a gap underneath, and the only thing that will be holding these walls this way, aside is their structural members and the nails going into the battens. So they won't move, but it'll be just enough that they'll have enough of play. Anyway, it's just smart construction. There's different schools of thought on it, and frankly, it's my house. I don't care what other people think. You know, I base my construction on best practices, and I listen a lot to what the inspectors say and what seasoned contractors say. And when I say seasoned contractors, you know, you gotta be careful also, because I'll give you an example. My dad, and I love him to death, gave me a lot of advice on the roof. You know, I mean, I always ask just before doing a project, just to refresh my memory, I will ask, hey, I'm doing it this way, is this right? He goes, yeah, and then he'll say something else. Well, there are new construction techniques that certain contractors that have been building for God knows how many years, and they're not doing it wrong. My brother and my dad will be building with, and many of the roofers that they employ, and some of the old-fashioned roofers, they'll be doing it with tar paper and this and that. That's great. Synthetic underlayment seems to last longer. It doesn't make any difference anyways, because in the long span of things, the roof only lasts 20 to 30 years. And the roof will last less because of the sun than the underlayment. So, in most cases. So, but like I said, sometimes there are different practices that even the inspectors are unaware of. Sometimes there's some new electrical components. You know? I had an inspector once that said, hey, you have to put a vent. No, I don't. He goes, yes, you have to. It's code. You got to put a vent through here. I said, no, I don't. He goes, how are you going to get around? I mean, where are you going to vent your dryer? I go, well, I have a ventless dryer. Because heat pump dryers do not need a vent. Why are you making me stick a hole in a house that's going to let my air out, my AC out, and waste hundreds of dollars a year when I don't need to? And sometimes they, so even inspectors sometimes don't know the latest codes or the latest technology and stuff. They're constantly getting trained. And technology is moving to the point where, in the past, you have to have X number of lights per breaker. Now, with LED lights, it's a whole other world, All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this down. Let me move these hoses. Okay. Time to bring up a wall, folks. Time to bring up a wall. In my case, bring down a wall. See how easy that was? It was a lot easier than raising the wall. Well, I'll still have to raise it. But... all right. Oh, by the way, normally what I do is I use the pulley. I used to use the pulley for the 16 footers, but you know what? Hopefully I don't take two of these. Once it's in this position, it takes a lot less effort to move it. But I have to make sure that it's straight. Or rather, straight enough for me to move it. Okay. to the approximate location. Normally I would put a brace on it, but I didn't think to do that. All right. As you see, this wall will continue. Now I have to do the calculations to put this wall will continue this way. There's a door here, and there's a door here for the kitchen or my daughter's room. And I just want to make sure that I have both of them as needed. And this is why my wrist hurts. How's everybody doing out there? Let me go check on the gang. Hey, Mark, good to see you. Dave, good to see you. Likewise, Steve. I'm getting there. So, luckily I have this beautiful thing called a Hilti well, it's power nailer. Put my little thing in there, and let's see if I can nail this in the right place, and we'll be happy. Okay, now that's not going to tilt over. Nothing like working with ballistics, huh? Need to get my level, because that's the next step there. Every now and then the blank doesn't pop out. The cartridge, whatever it's called, there it is. And very important, because I was taught safety with these guns, you do not load it until you load the nail. And once the nail is loaded, be ready to shoot. Because the last thing you need is a loaded gun of any sort. And that's dangerous. Yeah, you gotta press down in order to fire it, but don't tell them what anybody will do. Okay. Tape measure. Make sure the bottom is even. And then I'll load this up. One 125 and 5/8. Now, we check it with that side. Now we check it with this side. Because here's the thing. This is a hallway going outside. It's the laundry room. And there's going to be a door here. But regardless, I don't want this to look warped. And if it looked warped on one side and not on the other, either I made a mistake somewhere along the way, or you could adjust it a little bit so it doesn't look warped. Sometimes that happens. Very rare, because I'm pretty good with measuring twice and cutting once, but you never know. 86 inches, and it should be 86 3/4 here. Because there is a there. See, it's an inch off over here. I'd rather reduce it on the room than on the than otherwise. So 86 3/4, 86. 86, it's 86 3. And when all else fails, look at the plans and see what the measurement should be. (7'7", which is 84. Whoa, 7'7". What the? There's something way off on that number. 7 times 12, 84. And 7, that's 91. What in the world's going on here? Ten 3/4, 710. And 3/4 is 710. So for room, it's 10 believe. Ten six and 7 7. Oh yeah. I went to the wrong side. Okay, 10 6 7 7. Yeah. 10 6. And 6, good. And 6 over here. And 6. And we got 7 7. Okay. Oh, that's what happened. Wow. Well, okay, so here's what happened. Despite the fact that I designed this place perfectly, when the architect took my plans and drew it all up, one of the measurements on the floor plan, normally they have inside wall to inside wall measurements. So it's basically you take into account that this is 3.5 inches, and from this wall to that wall is such and such. The first room, 10 foot 10. Second, the bathroom, 7 foot 10. This one is 10 foot 6, but wait a second. They measured 10 foot 6 from that side of the wall to this side of the wall. So it really should be 10 foot 2.5. Now, I'll be darned if one of my daughters is going to get a room that's 3 inches smaller. I'd rather make the laundry room a little bit smaller. So that's what I'm doing. This is remaining where it is. So now the 10 foot 6 and the 10 foot 6. So now that's no longer 7 foot. What is it? Little adjustment here. We can adjust the walls as we need to. It's no longer 7 foot 7 because these are non-load bearing walls. Now it's going to be 7 foot 3.5. So 7 3.5 is in fact. Let's see how close it is to either side. 7 3.5. And then 7.5. Oh. 87.5, perfect. Now, if that's 87.5, this has to be a little bit less, it has to be 86.75, because there's a gap because of the furring strip. 86.75. Mm, 85.5, it's a little bit off. 7, 5.5, that's what it should be. Okay, so 7, 5.5. See, these people are messed up when they did their thing. It's not 7, 5. Anyway, whatever. I'll figure out what it is and then I'll make it square. If it's 4'11" and 2'3", that's 6 foot, 7'2". 7'2" plus 3, that's 7, 5.5. Okay, so it should be 7, 5.5. From there to there, should be 7, 5.5. That's where it goes, that's where it stays, that's perfect. Now, we can load our machine. We don't have any doors here. I always check. Always check for doors first before you start nailing down, because then you're just going to have to rip it up if that's not the case. I think I'm going to have to go back soon and buy some more loads rather than nails. So glad I saved these things. Okay. One solid wall-ish. I still need to nail some more in it, but this is, I'm putting up all the walls first, and then I'm going to go through the tedious part of, putting all the battens up, all the furring strips, getting ready for the drywall, etc., etc., etc. Yeah. To continue, I'll need a piece here. I'll need a small piece of wall that is, how the hell would I? $13.5 on the money. 13.5. Luckily, we got plenty of little sticks that are 13.5. In case you're wondering, my dog is still outside digging up the hill, which I find hilarious. Hilarious. matter of 4 sticks together. Yeah. Let's grab the other 2 sticks now. Yes, it's the same 1.5 inch, 105 inches that I've been doing so far. think I'm gonna take a lunch break. I'm gonna build the next wall. And then, it's gonna have 2 doors on it, so we'll see how long it has to be. I may have to do a 16-foot wall, which is a pain because I might have to raise that up with a winch, which is always fun. But let's see. Nine foot. Let's see what we got as far as how much we got left. So that's 10 foot. So we got 10 inches and 10 inches, 3.5. Wow, no, that's not gonna make it. I'm gonna have to put a, well, I could put a wall up to the middle. Yeah, that's probably what I'll do. Put a small wall here up to the middle of this, and then continue, get another long wall for that. 68 inches. 68 and a quarter. All right. So 68 and a quarter. And I'll do it after I grab some lunch, because I'm a little tired. Get a recharge cycle going there. But it's looking good. It's looking good. Basically, from here I got this wall continues. There's a doorway here. Then continues. There's a doorway here. This is the kitchen. The hallway continues to, another 10 feet or so. Then right here, there's a wall that goes to there. Yeah, there's a wall. That's all you got to do. There's a wall. So folks, thank you all for joining in. I'll try to do another live a little later today. It'll be a smaller one because I'm running out of energy. So yeah, lunch, have the old, yeah. I love the 22 caliber. So anyway, that's this section so far. Then I've got all the internal walls in there. The kitchen is probably part of this section, and then I got all the internal walls in that whole area. So I still got a ways to go. Thank you all for joining, and I will catch you all later on. Bye-bye.